Good evening, and we are opening the town notice of public hearing for May 6th at 6 o'clock p.m.
Can't hear you.
Okay, try again. We are opening the town of Limerick notice of public hearing for the articles that will be on our ballot in June. So I will start by reading these, and then we'll, have any discussion or comments from the floor. Okay, Article 1 will be to choose a moderator to provide at the said meeting. That'll be something we do at that point. Article 2, shall the town vote to transfer $20,000 from the unassigned fund balance to the capital project reserve account for painting or siding of the municipal building? The select board recommended yes, the budget committee recommended no, so open that question for any comments or discussion.
I'll comment on it after you.
Okay, I saw Howard's hand first.
Okay.
Howard Brennan. Where'd you come up with the $20,000 figure?
That's basically what we've been putting aside some money each year to get to a point where we're able to do it. It was kind of like a sinking fund where we wanted to put some money aside so we don't have to do it all at once. So this was in anticipation of doing it in a year or so.
Have you made up any specs? What's got to work, what's got to be done?
Not as of yet.
Okay. So this is just a transfer, so you're going to come back later
If
with the
this,
contract?
yes.
Okay.
I'll comment after we get through all the articles.
Ah, okay.
Then I'll comment now.
Okay, good.
Kathy Ward. My question is, we have Articles 2, 3, 4, and 5 that we all already voted no on. Why are we doing them again?
Well, because these are some things that need to be done. I think the no vote had to do with the budget committee's recommendation that there was not enough funding in the in the capital project reserve account, or money in the to put it into the capital project reserve to cover our bases that we still have to cover 3 months worth of bills.
But they're still in the capital reserves account. 2 of them are, aren't they? I think they're the exact same wording as before.
Yeah, it is. They have not been transferred until the town votes to do that. We did transfer some in the past year, so this was just to continue building up funds for some of these projects that need to be done down the road.
Well, it just seems to me that if the community has voted no, we voted no.
Well, then so be it again.
Article 3, for instance?
Yes.
I know we haven't got the, I know you said 1, 2, and 3, I don't know if you want
It was 2, 3, 4, and 5.
to, 2, 3, 4, I guess we'll wait till we get there.
Gil,
Yeah, so Howard again.
what is the balance in that account right now?
Does anyone have that available?
We just got it.
I don't think it's,
I don't know if it's,
well, it was in the town report. It was, we did get it. We just didn't get it in time, and we haven't taken anything out of it since.
The question for those at home was, what is the balance in that account? We're looking that up.
since we've got all these articles that keep referring to that, I thought you'd have that balance all ready to go.
Well, we got some reports, this evening, just came in the package before the meeting, so I don't have that ready to go. Apologize for that.
The actual amounts, at the end of last year, was $2,427,000, $4,427,610.
Okay, a little slower, so,
2.4 million and
okay.
change.
That's in the unassigned, John?
Yeah, if you look at page 42 of the town report, the budgetary fund balance, December 31st, actual amount was $2.427 million. We need roughly 2.1 million to meet our 3-month guideline.
Yes.
The capital expenditure account, do you have that balance as well? In other words, whatever fund this is going to be going into to utilize for the repairs?
There's several different ones. So all of them together come up to just over $1 million. However, 952 is already committed, so that's money probably for the fire station or something like that. So our balances, they're mostly smaller accounts. There's not any big amounts in any of the fund balances.
Okay, any
For
more
instance,
comments?
there's $290,000 that's restricted. So that would be money that was put aside for paving, paint, as specific purposes. And the total is $290,000 townwide. So I know there's some money in there there's some accounts that have been lingering forever, that have been holding money for a little while, that we talked about zeroing out. I know we were approved for paving money and painting money last year. These same two articles were approved. There's money in there for the revaluation that's been approved for years. There's money in there for bleachers for the ball field that was approved, and there may be some other stuff. Those are some of the bigger ones.
So it sounds like there's only about $50,000 that's uncommitted. Uncommitted meaning you haven't already spent it. Is that a correct interpretation? You said just over $1 million in all the accounts. And 952,000 was already committed, is I think your statement.
Yes. However, I don't have the answer for you. One of them, which used numbers, and it's probably related to, could be related to the fire station, but don't hold me to it. One of the accounts has a negative number. That I'm going to guess is related to the fire station, and it's probably money that we've spent or waiting to get back. So that negative 194 kind of skews. The 290 is accurate. The $290,000 that is set aside for multiple different items that over the years we've put a little money aside for. Last year we put in $20,000 for this building for painting. We guess that we're going to do that at least 3 years in a row before we could even start getting some numbers together and start getting estimates. We knew 20,000 was going to do it. 40 probably wasn't. So we figured we had to get closer to 60 before we could even start thinking about taking care of this building. And same thing with the paving. We either put 20 or 25 away last year and figured again, if we did that for 3 years, at that point, we could start looking at getting some pricing and then realizing, do we have to go to a 4th year? Or in 3 years, have we come up with enough?
So those particular projects that you've earmarked last year were the first times any contributions went to painting and paving, and that's, the amount of money that's in there is 20 and 15 or something of that
20 and
sort.
25, I believe.
20 and 25, that's what's in the accounts
For
right now.
those two items.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any additional comments on Article 2?
Actually, the problem we've run into in the past is, people say, well, you're putting the cart before the horse, right? So you go out and get a price to paint this building today, and it's $50,000, and you say, we're gonna set some money aside, and you set aside 20 for 2 years or 3 years, and then 3 years down the road, it's $65,000. So we figured if we gotta do a 3-year time frame, we were gonna at least be in the range of where at that point we could get some prices and start looking at doing those two items.
Okay, Howard?
One more question. On the Article 2, it says painting or siding. Now, are you thinking painting? Are you thinking about taking the siding off and putting new siding, or what are you thinking?
I think until we see some pricing, I don't think we've even considered it. But what we didn't want, because some people said, well, maybe it'd be better to reside it than paint it. What we didn't want was to have the article say painting, and then 3 years from now realize maybe it's gone too far and it's time to reside it, and have to rework all that money because it was earmarked solely for painting and not siding. But it is for the outside finish on this building, one way or the other.
But if you reside it, you still have to paint.
Sure.
You can't do just the siding, it's gonna rot in another 3 years.
Probably put
What if they
vinyl
put
on
vinyl
it.
siding?
What?
What if they put vinyl siding?
On this building?
I'm saying everything's been thrown out there. I'm not advocating for vinyl siding. I'm just saying.
I love vinyl siding, not on this
And
building.
I would agree with you, but I'm just saying that at some point that decision's gonna be made. And, you know, some sidings now you buy them and they're already even wood siding come pre-painted, pre-finished, once they're up
And
and
they
running.
never do a good job. It's like they did the undercoat, what do they put on cars before they paint it? Primer, yeah. Lost the word. It's like they just put primer on.
Right. We'll have to,
Depends on the product.
At this point,
I've
yeah.
seen good, I've seen bad, I've seen ugly, so it,
If it's good, it's gonna be more than $60,000.
which is, you know, and if it's more, then we'll have 60 toward it and not have to go the whole ball of wax at one time. Any more discussion on Article 2? Okay, moving on to Article 3. Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate $45,000 for the town reevaluation account? The select board recommends yes, the budget committee recommends yes. Any discussion? Howard?
You might as well stand up here.
Want to take a chair with you?
I was under the impression when you started this revaluation, we had the money. Have they gone over the budget, their estimate, or what?
no,
Then why are we raising the money?
because we didn't have it. We've been doing the same thing for this that we figured for the painting. We've been setting it aside each and every year.
Yeah, but you entered into a contract to revalue the town.
Correct.
So you knew you had to have the money right then and there when you signed that contract. It looks to me like we're running short, we gotta pick up some.
No, we
So why?
never had enough in the account to pay for the revaluation. It's been slowly building up the same way as the painting.
You never had enough money?
Well, when they started putting it aside 3 or 4 years ago,
Yeah.
they didn't know what the amount would be. It's 4 years later. They didn't give us a price 4 years ago, and now we're at a point where we had no choice. We have to do a revaluation.
Right, but you entered into a contract knowing full well that you didn't have enough money.
I would say that's not true.
Well, you just said it was,
No,
minutes ago.
no, because if,
How come we're raising $45,000 more, John? We didn't have the money. Plain and simple.
if this doesn't happen, if this money doesn't get voted in, we will cut back all assessing for this year. We'll stop everything except the revaluation, and we will use this year's money to pay for the revaluation, and we'll have to play catch-up next year.
I just think that's poor planning.
Well, how are you supposed to know? 4 years ago, 5 years ago?
John, you do not, a town doesn't enter into a contract unless they've got the money. Plain and simple. You didn't have it, you were wrong. Plain and simple.
Further discussion on Article 3? Okay, moving on to Article 4. Shall the town vote to transfer $30,000 from the unassigned fund balance to the capital project reserve account for SCBA devices for the fire department? The select board recommends yes, the budget committee recommends no. Discussion on Article 4.
Yeah. I'd like to know if maybe Steve could explain why the budget committee voted no on this, so that we have an idea of what the difference is.
I think there was someone volunteering to give some discussion of that.
Okay,
after
I would
the
like to
different-
hear an answer to that.
Why we voted no?
Yes.
I will.
Okay, I'm
Once
telling
we
you.
get through, then I can let you know why we
All right.
voted no to all of them.
Gil?
Howard?
I thought the fire department would be here talking about this since they're asking for it, but what are they buying? Are they buying one of those CBAs? Are they buying 10? You know, well, how can we vote on something when we don't know what they're buying?
And how many they already have?
So all of the town SCBA air cylinders expire in 2025. So they all expire in 2025, and will need to be replaced at a cost of about $40,000. The SCBA's need to be replaced in 2028 as well, as the SCBA air compressor. Estimated cost approximately $110,000. The original plan was to set $30,000 aside from 2023 through 2028. So they have a number that they believe it's gonna cost them in 2028, and they're asking for, set aside $30,000 for a 5-year period. So when that happens, they can do it. And I guess we hope that their $150,000 estimate in 5 years is still good, or we're gonna be poor planning again. I don't know, maybe we should ask for more money.
The other question I have is how many people are we planning to outfit with this? How many people we have right now, you can tell us, that are on the, that if we're having a fire right now and we have to suit up some people, how many do we need?
There could be approximately, if I had to guess, 25. If I had to guess.
To go on the building burn, yeah, building?
I can answer that.
I've never seen one like 3 or 4.
So you're saying now that something has to be replaced next year out of this 30,000 every year?
The air cylinders,
So we will not have 150,000 or whatever you said in 5 years?
no, because it's 150 total. 40,000 has to be spent in 2025,
All right.
and the rest doesn't have to be spent until
I think it
2028.
would be nice if the questions made more sense.
There's two components to your SCBA's. You got the packs and you got your tanks. Your tanks are only good for 10 years, your packs get outdated. In another town, this happened, we were found $7,000 per pack. So you want to budget ahead of time, we were caught off guard, and again, it was just because of things happen and nobody was asking the right questions. You've got a very good fire chief that's very attentive and he's trying to plan ahead. Those tanks are between $4,000 and $5,000 a piece, and that was last year's price. I do know that they go higher, the packs are even more, and if you're fortunate, there'll be a larger town that will donate a more updated pack so that they'll be more versatile and universal. But it's a main board labor and safety issue. You have to have at least 2 tanks per person, per truck, So if there's 2 people on that truck, you gotta have 4 tanks, 4 packs. The ambulances are supposed to have 1 on each. So it's a demand that you really don't have a choice. Those are life-saving things. So, and the money comes hard, and you have to plan, and I think they're trying to plan ahead on this before they get caught short. Once they run out, they cannot be recertified. They're done. So it's a hard hit for every town. And I think with the lack of knowledge and experience, and you bring somebody from a different town like Vinny, he has some experience and he's trying to plan ahead. And he's trying to allow the people enough time to plan. And it may not be $30,000 this year, but again, if he's talking 3 years from now, that's a pretty accurate figure. We spent $150,000 in Mountain last year for those. And we had to take 3 trucks out of service because we didn't have enough for each truck. So that's what happens, then you rely on your mutual aid. But the numbers are the numbers. It isn't your board, it isn't your fire chief, it isn't your government. It is the supply and demand, and COVID drove those prices sky high.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Steve?
Kathy, to answer that thing, the night that we voted on it, I wasn't there. I had left, so that's fine. I would have certainly given an explanation. Last year, we voted to put money aside for them, all right? The tanks last 10 years, okay? So normally, Mike, you've been on the department just as long as I have. You know, we try to buy 3 or 4 every couple of years, but they're all gonna come due. So they're just trying to put money aside on a 5-year period. Right. The air compressor that's, you know, 100,000 anyway is gonna be old enough to be replaced, all right? And that's, the problem is that's NFPA guidelines, you know, we don't have to agree with them, I certainly don't, but they're saying you gotta have that stuff, all right? The air packs are essential, all right? The face
Yeah, I
masks,
understand
that stuff wears up, so, you know, I certainly think there's probably other areas to save money in the department, but as far as this 30,000, you know, that's something that shouldn't be cut. That's a wear item, okay? If we go to a fire in one of the tanks, cracks or breaks, we're out of the tank, all right? And you have to have enough, all right? Normally, most departments have 12 to 15 sets of this stuff, okay? Now, we're there, because during a fire, you go through 2 tanks and a heartbeat. And if there's 10 guys, that's 20 tanks. Like, you're hoping your other towns come in, but a lot of the other towns have something different than we have, or everyone has their own little niche. So they don't kind of coincide. So on this article, you know, I'm saying, not just as a member of the department, but understanding that we're gonna put 30,000 aside each year is a factor. There's certainly some other ways to cut and save money, but I don't think this is one of them on that deal.
Thank you.
Any more discussion on Article 4? Okay, then moving on to Article 5. Shall the town vote to transfer $25,000 from the unassigned fund balance to the capital project reserve account for paving of town-owned properties? The Select Board recommends yes, the Budget Committee recommends no. This is basically the same discussion as we've had on the others, but are there any comments specifically on Article 5?
Told you I should keep standing up. One question I had is, where are you gonna be paving?
The back parking lot, and also there's some areas out in the front driveway that are in poor shape, so there's a massive need all around on the paving.
Right here, you're talking about.
Yes, around this building.
Are there any other places?
Not that we've identified at this point, but that doesn't mean there won't be.
We have we have discussed extending the parking behind the Brick Town Hall where it's not paved.
But my point is, why isn't it specified in here where you're gonna be paving? It would be more palatable, I think, to the general public, knowing where the money's gonna go, as opposed to saying, we're gonna pave somewhere. Okay, the other thing that concerns me, we're raising this money in various places, and I've said this many times up here, and I had to fight when I was on the board on it. When you raise this kind of money, as we're doing now, with no contract pending, what do you think the contractor's gonna do when he comes in here? Look at that, you're gonna find out how much money we've raised. Guess what your contract's gonna be? Think about it.
Would you recommend we do it all in 1 year? We put it out to bid, just, would that be more palatable?
No,
I'm asking, if, would it be, so we know, because we know we don't have enough in there to do the paving we have to need. So would it be more palatable if next year, we put this out to bid and said, give us $80,000 this year for this project?
you would be better off if you say, okay, we want to tar out front, out back, on municipal building property as such, and put it in one article and call it quits.
And
If
do
you've got some, like we do the town roads. Now, there's different roads that Scott will probably be saying that he's gonna plan on tarring, specific roads. It's no different here. But I'm just telling you that when you put those figures, and that's my biggest concern, when you put those figures out, you're gonna be getting those bids. We've seen it, other contracts in town.
So I'm asking, would you prefer next year to see an article that says, we have a price, it's $100,000, we've put aside 40, give us $60,000 in this budget, and we're gonna do the painting. So we know for next year, if that's the way people want it, let's hear it. I mean, let's,
If you put the bids out in a timely manner, and then you go to a meeting with it, but raising it ahead of time, you're opening yourself up.
but you're not answering my question. It's a simple question. Do you want to budget all this money to pave in one single year to do it?
Not
Yes.
necessarily,
Okay?
but, there again, have the specs up front and know what you're gonna be dealing with so that you can plan. Just throwing figures at these accounts, you gotta have something, you gotta start with something. If you got a project, spec it out and get a bid, just say it's subject to us raising the money.
5 years down the road.
No. Say you, next fall, put out, say, okay, next spring, we're gonna pay here, what's the price gonna be? But I realize, subject to increase in oil, which is gonna affect hot top and everything else. But you've got a price to work with. It's no
And
different.
you're okay with putting that all in one budget in 1 year?
Oh, wait a minute, I think you're getting away from what I'm saying. The town roads are one thing.
I'm not talking about the town roads. The town roads, for instance, we budget $300,000, whatever the numbers for the town roads.
Yeah.
And they come in and say, you've got 300, this is what we'll pay for you. We, don't talk about how the town roads are bid, because that's exactly what you're talking against. They come in and say, you got 300,000, this is how much we'll do for you. That's exactly how
Yeah,
that
and
works.
by the same token,
So,
you put that, goes out for bid, we've seen it, how many years now? I said,
absolutely.
oh, they budgeted $350,000. Guess what the bid is? $350,000, oh, no, just $1,000 under to make it look good. It happens. So, like I said, spec it out, get a price and work from there. Right here, we're just kind of throwing money at it.
Well, I think people are, I mean, you're a smart guy. You know that we can't paint this building for $20,000.
On today's prices.
40? Probably not, right? I mean, at some point, we have to use the intelligence that we have from the community and common sense. And we have to get to a point where we can say, we know 20 is not enough, we know 40 is not enough. This is 3 to 4 years out. We're trying to plan so there aren't big spikes in the budget that we're spending $100,000 to paint this building, or $100,000 to pave it. You can't spec that in 2023 or 4 to spend in 2028.
But right now, you're going on thin air and saying, let's take $20,000, as opposed to getting a painter to come in here and give you an estimate and say, okay, right now it's gonna cost $30,000 to do that building. You've got something to work with there. But this picking figures out of the sky doesn't work.
I guess we,
No, and
How much
I'll
do you
say-
think it's gonna cost to pave this parking lot?
to pay for parking lot?
Yes,
Okay, we don't know, but any discussion needs to come up to the microphone.
sorry, I forgot. I'll ask you again, how much do you think it's gonna cost to pave this parking lot?
It's gonna be a lot more than $20,000
I
times
realize
2 or
that.
3 years.
I realize that.
So,
I'm just asking how much you think it's gonna be about.
Well, using best knowledge of everything, this parking lot is going to be starting around $50,000, how much, if you did just the back, then
Okay.
what if you go up front, you're gonna spend probably somewhere between $50,000 and $80,000.
So when we do our roads and we're limited to $300,000, they tell us how much they can do, then they go on again the next year. It doesn't make the whole road look bad doing it in sections. Why can't this be done in sections? Spend what money we've got now in case the price goes up next year.
You know, I guess, to me, a road being done a half mile or a mile at a time is one thing, but if you're gonna have patchwork,
You won't
parking
have
lot.
patchwork. They do a good enough job. You won't see patchwork.
I guess if that's what people wanna do, we can do that. I mean, that's,
Well, I don't want to do it at all, but
well, we couldn't do it with the painting, obviously. Okay.
So I can actually give explanation as to why the budget committee voted on no, on Article 2, 4, and 5. We were told to use the 2003 audit, like everybody is. The available funds have to be 3 months' worth of expenses. The expenses break down to be approximately $683,000, $683,635. 3 months comes out to $2,050,906. As of the time of the audit, if you look at page 44, the unassigned account only has $2,079,731. That leaves us $28,824 to move out of the unassigned without going below that 3-month threshold. Nobody from the select board was here that day to tell us what your priorities are for the town. So it's not up to the budget committee to say, well, we're gonna give this priority over this. And because there's $75,000 being requested to transfer out of the account and there's only $28,000 available, we have to say no.
what did you say you saw for a number for the unassigned balance?
$2,079,731.
2,079,000.
Yes, yeah, sorry, $2,079,731.
Well, here's the problem, that if you look at the undesignated fund balance as of today, it's negative $413,000.
So does the town, or does the board have in place a plan to replenish that?
Well,
Because before going below, the policy was revised in April, that if you're gonna go below that 3-month threshold, there has to be a plan in place. What is that plan if we're negative?
Well, it's negative because of the fire station.
So I don't care what the reason is, what is the plan to replenish that so we get back to that?
So if you wanted to see that tomorrow, replenished where it needs to be, we could go to the bank where we've been approved for funding for the fire station, and we could ask to be replenished all that money we put in and make our interest payment double what it is every month.
So is that a viable plan? No. It's not a responsible one.
Well, it will catch up when the federal grant money comes in.
Has the federal grant money been applied for?
Oh, yeah. The $1.8 million?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
When's it coming?
You can get a crystal ball. Don't know.
The contract's gonna be paid for pretty quick.
Has it been approved?
It's been approved, and it's
The
in the,
grant has?
what's that?
The grant has been approved?
Yeah, it was
It's been
approved,
awarded.
it was
too.
approved,
Yeah.
it was
Been
awarded
awarded.
Okay,
a year ago.
okay,
Or
good to know. But it's just, if it's already negative, why are we saying, let's transfer more, let's transfer more? We don't have it to transfer. I mean, if we're supposed to have the $2,079,000 and you're saying it's negative, but give us another 75,000,
Well,
it's gonna bankrupt this
reality is,
town.
we do have it. We do have it. We could, for years and years and years, this town's been in a phenomenal cash position. Because several years ago, we put away $800,000 for the fire station. Well, we all know how it works. We can say it till we're blue in the face. Everybody out there that's paying your taxes in September, the town has to operate from January to September without any money. So we run the town for 8 months before income even starts coming in. Okay?
Yep.
We've been fortunate that we've had these fund balances and had the cash on hand to keep cash flow rolling.
Okay, but so
Last
the
year-
funds, the funds that you receive in October,
Yeah.
those are meant to pay for things for the year, not just for a couple months. They're for the entire year.
Yeah, but you have to replenish the
volume.
last 8 months you paid for.
Why? The year before that, paid for that.
What do you mean?
No.
No. No, when you pay your taxes in October,
Yep.
you're
I don't
paying,
pay for 2 months worth of
You're-
services
you're
for
paying-
things in
I know.
town.
but the services you're getting in January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September,
Yeah.
we're paying for. So the town pays it. Everybody here pays that.
Okay, so say that was the case this year.
It's the
What
case
about,
every year.
what about the taxes that I paid the year before? What did those go towards?
The
The previous year.
previous year.
That's fine, but every year, you're getting these funds that are replenishing it
Correct. So we have,
in theory.
so in October, November, December, January, February, March, we are flush with money.
Yeah.
Then it starts to get a little tight. Last year, we talked about getting a tax anticipation note, which is every town, I'm not gonna say every town, many towns that have a tax bill that comes once a year, towards the end of the year, the only way they can operate is a tax anticipation note, which means at some point, June, July, August, we literally run out of money. We literally run out of cash. But you've got all your taxpayers, your money, my money, everybody's money is in your pocket, you owe that to the town. So everybody's holding your money, that the taxpayers owe the town. When they pay it, it replenishes it. So in the past, we've been lucky to not have to do that because we've had large pots of money set aside for things, especially the fire station. So now we're building the fire station. That luxury of having those funds are no longer there. So we'll operate as far as we can with hopefully some good information from the treasurer and try to realize at this point, at what point this year should we be looking at a tax anticipation note? And if we should be applying for it right now, whether we need it or not. Because last year, because this was new to all of us, because we've had so much money, we scrambled at the end of the year, got approved for tax anticipation note if we needed it, but we didn't need it, luckily. The fire station lingered behind, we still were using that money. But we should be looking at a tax anticipation note very quickly, and if we use it, we use it, and if we don't, we don't. But you can't, you're expecting the town to run its year on money that hasn't even come in yet, which is not easy to do.
If I did with my budget what you do here, the sheriffs would be knocking at my door.
Absolutely.
I'm disgusted with it.
Well,
You're running in a negative balance, John.
it's been going on that way for forever.
But we didn't have the kind of debt we have now. We've never been in debt like we are now.
Well, we have new debt this year. So this is the first year, and that's probably why our town is lagging behind.
Then maybe it's time we vote for a balanced budget.
Yeah, well, I think our budget, I don't know that we've overspent a budget in forever.
You look through here, there's a lot of negative balances in departments.
Yeah.
And you take it from one place to pay another. I can't do that at my house. You gotta pay what you've gotta pay.
You can't, if your electric bill runs over, you can't take money from your, if your
I
water
can
runs
take
over
from my
that.
grocery bill and we won't eat, yeah.
You can't, you can't budget to the penny. We have, the law says, we can take from, as long as it's in the same article, you have to stay in that article. And we've been doing that with
This
money
is
left
why I
over.
don't like the way you group things all together, because we can't say yes and no to each thing.
Yeah. I didn't do it.
You were part of it when it was being done.
No, yeah, well, I had nothing to do with that.
I'm finished, I'm sorry.
Okay. Did I see your hand? No? Okay.
Steve McLean, if we don't get the grant, John, by June or July, how will that affect us? 'Cause you were saying something about we're 400,000, behind on the other side. If we get that grant, then that replenishes it fairly quickly. But if we don't by June or July,
We're trying to borrow it from the bank.
okay, that's
So
what I'm
the
saying.
town,
So-
so if that grant, if the federal government blows up tomorrow,
That's right, no,
and that grant doesn't come through, the town has already authorized
that's right,
the borrowing for the entire fire station minus the money we had to start.
okay.
So that just means we have a bigger loan.
Okay, I understand, but what I'm saying is, instead of waiting, here we are May, instead of waiting to June, saying, all right, this money's not coming to September, which would hurt us, so we ought to start doing that anticipation note now.
Well, the tax, I have asked Julie, and she's finally, I know Julie's done a great job, and she's getting her feet wet. This is the first report we've got tonight, since she's been in. Because I was part of, dealing with the tax anticipation note last year, I told her that by the end of this month, we need to know where our cash position is, and play it out to how far we think we can go, before we have to borrow money for operational expenses.
So we should be all set up, pre-approved, ready to go.
It's
Last year was the first year, but we came right down to the deadline, then didn't end up using it.
correct.
But that's fine.
Yeah.
But I'm saying this year here is a little more critical. There's more money involved,
Absolutely.
okay, just because of what's going on.
Yeah, so she's aware of where we need to be, or what needs to be done. So I've asked her to do a cash flow report and see where we're gonna, at what point do we fall short,
Okay.
if any.
Yeah, again, these figures of these articles, 75 or whatever thousand altogether, that's figured into it, if the people vote for it.
These, so
Well, if we're-
when the mistake was made, well, we don't have the money, we're not spending this money. We don't have to come up with this money. We're not, this money is being set aside on paper.
Right, but we ran into this, whatever it was, 3 or 4 years ago, that E25, that was for the fire stations, we were told by the state it had to be put into a separate account. Because we were using that money, and we're using it now, and that's fine. What I'm saying is,
I don't think the state ever told us we had to set that money aside.
yes, yeah, that was voted to be set aside, it was in a separate account. But we were using it to function as we've done for 100 years.
Yep.
But now we're talking, add another zero on everything is essentially what it amounts to. So,
Yeah, the numbers are getting bigger.
yeah, I mean, like I said, I think sooner than later we ought to be prepared. When we did it last year, it should be a hell of a lot easier to do it
Yeah,
this year.
it's the process, the banks do them, I say on a moment's notice, they do them all the time. It's easy for them to do because they know that when the taxes come in, it gets paid back. So it's an easy loan for them to do. The process takes a little bit, but where we did it last year, everything's in place to just kind of change the numbers related to this year.
Yeah, now last year we sent out the tax bills earlier,
But we talked about doing that this year.
I thought we sent them out a couple of weeks earlier last year.
Maybe, I don't know about a couple
So
weeks
I'm
earlier.
saying, is that gonna be the plan this year?
We've talked about sending them out, at one point, we talked about sending them out in April or May.
Well, I'm
But with the
saying,
revaluation, it makes it kind of hard.
well, yeah.
So that's the other thing. So if we were talking about sending them out early and giving a discount for early payment,
When are they gonna have that done?
couple more months.
Make a comment about this budget. When I was on board back in the 90s, about mid-90s, we stopped borrowing money. We had sufficient money to run this town. And then all of a sudden, get into 2000, and the sky's the limit. And now, and I've said this to this board, not this board, but the previous board also, I've never seen any balance sheets like we used to have. Every month, we used to go through every one of those accounts, every month, every week, go through those, and we knew when we were gonna be in trouble. Now, if we get negative balances, right now, somebody needs their ass kicked. Because there's absolutely no need of that. If you see that the accounts going down in any one department, you jump on it. Sounds like now we just, oh, we'll go till the money runs out, and so we'll get some more. You gotta start looking at those balance sheets every week, guys.
I'm just gonna hop back on Article 5 for a second, if you guys don't mind about the paving. For voting wise, over on this section, we will need to do something. So it's looking pretty grim out there for handicap accessibility, so something has to be done. State highly recommends an absentee ballot box. It's not mandated yet, but they do highly recommend it. And right now, we don't have a smooth surface big enough to put it. So for paving issues, I am gonna say, I recommend yes vote on Article 5. Okay, that's it.
Thank you. Any additional comments? If so, I'll move on to Article 6. Shall the town vote to establish a public access equipment capital account reserve and transfer $25,000 from the franchise capital account to the reserve for upgrading the municipal building media room equipment? The select board recommends yes, the budget committee recommends yes. Discussion on Article 6. Really, yeah. Raise your hand higher so I can see it. Please.
I feel like Howard.
God help you.
So we kind of found out today that the account that is listed on Article 6 is wrong. Just one digit off, but it is wrong. So I'm gonna say we have to re-vote on this at a later date. I don't know what your thoughts are. I'm sorry. It was just a typo.
Well, in the past, we've had to, re-vote on things with a typo or things, so
So you can
that's,
either do like a special town meeting, open town meeting, you can do in November, I don't know how pressing it is.
Is it the one that is we're transferring from?
5,
So the one we're transferring to is
522.
It should be
552.
522?
552, and it was me. I will take the wholehearted blame on it.
Hey,
Gail gave it to me correct.
I told her today, she's only human. I made mistakes.
I fat finger typed it wrong.
okay, well, I guess
Is
our
there-
options
Is there a 552 account?
No,
No, I don't believe so.
I know that there's someone called it 552 didn't exist.
Judy found it today. It should be 522.
Okay, we'll have to go to Plan B on that one.
You know,
Yes,
have
sir.
we talked about this article for a bit? Or are you gonna wait?
Well, if it's, yeah, go ahead then. If you,
Can someone tell what's gonna be needed for this?
What do you mean? What's gonna
To
be-
get it going so everybody can watch it.
Oh,
Right
For
now,
the
you can't
media.
hear, you can't see it half the time.
or the actual equipment.
We put a bomb in it and start all over, or what?
Patrick, you're here, do you want to say anything?
It's not Patrick's job.
yeah, thank you, Gail.
I'm sure some of you have watched some of the meetings, and I have said numerous times that there are components in that black media cabinet, right there in the corner, that are over 20 years old. It has been patched over the last 20 years with different pieces of equipment. At some point, it just doesn't, some can't be replaced now. And if they break, since we've lost our backup at the Bricktown Hall that matched it, you won't see any television. You will be live streaming.
We haven't been for the past month, Gail.
I'm sorry, but check the SRC TV.
Yes,
live
if you want to
stream.
watch it 3 days later. If you want to watch it when the meeting's happening, you can't get it.
There's been a number of reasons since our 4-day power outage. That's what started it.
No, it was before that.
I'm sorry, but
It was.
we cable cast and live stream religiously. Okay, check the archive and you'll see it. That's all I
In the
can say.
archive, yes, I'm saying the night of the meeting.
The night of
The
the
week
meeting is
before that
live.
storm, it
in
was
the
not
archive.
on then.
It's live on the archive. Okay.
The week before that storm, there was no meeting on. But you had a meeting.
4/8,
I don't
we
know
had an
what the date was.
emergency meeting. 4/1, you'll find it in the archive.
Not on TV, it wasn't though. It may be now, but it wasn't then.
I'm talking, there's two different things. One's a live stream and one's cable cast.
Cable
Cable.
has not been on since the early part of March.
I'm sorry, I disagree.
Well, you're not the home watching it, you're up here.
I spoke up to this issue
I saw you up
2 or
here.
3 weeks or so ago.
Yes, it did finally come on that week.
Yeah, well, what happened was beyond our control. We are at the mercy of large multinational companies.
Last week it was even worse.
In what sense?
You could see it for a minute, then it would go on to something else, a different meeting.
On cable?
Yes. And you could hear it for a few minutes, then you heard nothing.
Well, all I can tell you is I'm here tonight to try to help start rectifying the situation. I'm recording good audio. You're going to hear yourself really well on this. It will be after the fact, unfortunately, but we have some kinks to iron out with a new system. We had a server company that was basically trying to extort $64,000 from our puny budget.
I know, I heard what you said at that meeting.
Yeah, and so we had a really talented tech guy, David Blaze, and he offered to locate some software that would allow us to circumvent this greedy company. And so there are some bumps and kinks that we're ironing out. We understand the frustration, and we're working hard to correct the situation and expect to have it corrected by June 1st.
Well, it went to a totally different meeting last week. I mean, I don't
And-
understand how that could happen instead of at least just going blank.
Without seeing what you saw, I don't know how to address that.
Black from 7 o'clock to about 7:15.
On cable?
She was up talking when I first got a picture.
Okay.
Then it would go black, and it
Bandwidth,
would show a meeting
internet
2 days
bandwidth
before.
wasn't available.
Oh,
Then it
right.
also showed a meeting that had happened the week before, not with them, a different meeting.
Yeah. There is limits to how much bandwidth we can squeeze 2 different streams out at the same time, so we're addressing that as well. And yeah, I totally understand the frustration. Technology is flawed. People are flawed. We're working to correct the situation. It wouldn't be happening if this company did try to extort $64,000 from us. It's unfortunate. It has made our jobs much more difficult, and your viewing experience lousy. I'll concede that. But we are working to address the issue, and we hope by June 1st that you'll be seeing your cable meetings live again.
I'm told it's going out well tonight.
On stream?
Yes.
Okay.
That's all we're doing, we're not cable casting.
And because Channel 5 has been an issue, do you get Channel 7?
Yes,
And is that a local access channel as well?
yes it is.
Okay. I'm going to double down on putting these meetings, again, after the fact, until we can iron the issue out, on Channel 5 at 9, 2, and 7. And when I get home with this one tonight, I'm going to process it, and I will have it on at 2 in the afternoon and 7 tomorrow, and repeat that. Go ahead, sir.
So the equipment we've got here now, is this just archaic, it has to be replaced or what?
I think it's a lot more convoluted than it has to be. There is one component in there in particular that is problematic. I think Connectivity Point, which is a company we're starting to communicate with, will be in on the 14th to fix that piece of equipment.
They'll be here tomorrow,
We'll be here tomorrow as well. Do you know what time?
in the morning.
Okay, I'd like to meet with them and try to figure out what exactly they're doing. Sometimes the work this company, Connectivity Point, does is at cross purposes with what we're doing, as far as I can tell. We're taking steps to improve our communication with them. And David Blaze, our technology guy, has been working with Gil to address these issues. Do you folks also have a computer? Just wondering how popular cable is in Limerick. Are you all cable subscribers? Some of you? Are you a cable subscriber? And you are?
I have the computer, but I'd rather watch it on the
Oh, I
television.
totally get it. Yeah. So,
So can they transfer that money because it's coming from their fees to update their equipment?
That's what we're doing, that's what we're trying to do.
yeah, there's
Even though
nothing.
that's one digit off, I mean.
Yeah, we thought when what we did, because we have 6 towns in our consortium, is we dedicated a computer to each town. and at our station in Hollis, and it has not gone as smoothly as I would like it to, and people are understandably upset. But I think that we're on the right path as far as correcting the issue. So give us a little more time. Call me if you want to vent. 727-5702.
Surprised you can't hear me from home.
I have heard of you, trust me, and I understand it. So we're working on it, and it's nothing we're ignoring, but cable has certainly changed since I started public access in 1998. There's a lot more complexities to deal with than there was then. We didn't have streaming when I first started. It was just simply cable, and it was so much easier then. I almost pined for those things. We're working on it. I'm sorry about the interruptions.
Thank you.
Does anybody know, does the treasurer have the right to change GL account numbers?
I think that
I
has
think
to
she
be,
does. She controls them.
well, it'd be like creating it.
Be creating it or moving it. So why can't she just, if there's not a 522,
There is a 522.
there is a 522,
That's where the money is.
why doesn't she change that to 550? And
To
if
do
she,
what? To move it?
if she changes in her books,
Oh, no.
No, because this is where it's coming from, so it's,
You can't do that on the fly. Bad accounting practice. Gaspy, maybe?
creative accounting, they call that.
What, I'm sorry?
I said they call that creative accounting.
Creative accounting.
And we can't do that.
Trying to make it so that we're able
It's
to.
okay. You'll have a special town meeting.
Okay, I see Dee Dee and Steve.
Go ahead, Steve.
Oh, no, you're supposed to be.
All right, why don't you go?
Ladies before gentlemen.
It should be beauty before age. So, just speaking, Patrick said that we need new cameras because they're 15 years old. So that would probably be one of the things that maybe we would be purchasing with the money.
Oh, yes. Yes,
Okay.
you can look right here.
Okay.
Point to the card.
We're
right.
working on
And-
some connectivity point quote for updates on some of the
Yes,
equipment,
we've got-
Okay.
cameras.
Hold that thought, because Saco River Community Television, they work with B&H, a company that they recommend. So, I know you're shaking your head, hold on.
I'm not shaking my head.
My thought is, Saco River Community Television, or media, they work with us and the other towns to go live stream.
We
So-
did it with Hollis. They were running what looked like VHS level quality video, and they were resistant to change. But nobody wants to see a timestamp from a 1995 VHS tape on their meeting. So we finally got them to agree to invest $15,000 to $25,000 in a new camera system, and their meetings look markedly better as a result. And I know it's not about appearances necessarily, but a meeting that looks better will have more credibility with the viewing public, I believe, anyway. Then, of course, audio is important. If your audio is no good, and you have to work on that this month, too. As far as I know, all of your microphones are functioning well. Why is the PA system not on in the room right now, just out of curiosity?
It is, it's just not being recorded.
Oh, okay, I don't hear anyone's voices now.
No, it has there's no speakers in this room because of the size.
Oh, I see, okay,
They are at Bricktown Hall.
okay.
So my point is, Saco River Community Media, these are the ones that we work with and they put us out there.
Oh,
So we should be working closer with you guys to get things straightened out. All right, it's not a middleman, we shouldn't have a middleman, we should be Saco River Community Media, the select board.
It worked for Hollis, that's all I can tell you.
Yeah.
We work closely with them, and
I'm not putting you on the spot or anything, it just, this is what I see. You know, there's too many people in the middle. we need to work closer with the ones that actually put us out there. So, Gail, I'm not saying you're not doing a good job or whatever, and I'm
I work
not,
very closely with SRCTV personnel. Every week, if not every day lately.
beg to differ,
They
but that's okay. So I'm just asking you guys to work closer. Saco River with a select board, I mean, there's 5 of you, so somebody should be on the same page. And if we can just figure this out, and so we can get this cleared up, and the new camera equipment, and so we stop having these problems. It's,
Beyond all that, though, there is a network issue, not only here, but also in Leamington. So we were over at Leamington earlier today, working on that issue. And these towns weren't necessarily built for consecutive, concurrent streams for cable and the internet. You know, the regular, everyday office communication is often comprised of just emails and things like that, not 3-hour meetings necessarily. So,
well, I guess this is my point. Connectivity is coming tomorrow, and you didn't know.
I'm sorry, but they did know.
Connectivity is coming tomorrow, and you didn't know. So let's just work closer together.
Well, when they come on, if I knew when they were coming and what the contact name was, it'd be good to meet him. I know David has spoke to him, so the ice has been broken. We would have liked to have talked to them much sooner, but often we're unaware of what they're doing and how that jives with what our goals are for the town. So,
I mean, you are the manager of the station, so.
Limerick has 2 sets of media cabinets. One's in the Bricktown Hall, and one is in the municipal building. They have always been mirrored, except for different ways for the audio. At the Bricktown Hall, it's a complete system with speakers because the room is larger and it was needed for people to hear. Here, the thought was it wasn't required, a speaker wasn't required, everybody could hear it because of the size of the room and the good dynamics of the room. If you put that system up there, it's going to go live shortly. It was ordered last December after the waterfall in July, okay, and it is going to go online this month. If you start and change everything that's been done up there, that's brand new, and we start doing different cameras and different software, and you're going to have people to run both systems to do the same thing in different ways, so we mirror them. We have, Katie met with Connectivity Point last week. She went over specifications. They came here and did a survey of the room and the requirements, and they're producing a quote as we speak. And that $25,000 that we asked be set aside is part of that. The system in the town hall was $52,000. 4 years ago, I was asked, what is that system worth if we had to replace it for insurance purposes? I gave them a line-by-line $50,000 estimate. It's no surprise that it costs $50,000 plus to replace that there. I would recommend that we mirror the systems. If you don't want to, fine, you're going to have to train people to do 2 different systems. And good luck. Thank you.
Okay, I had Steve first and then Howard.
Yeah, I was 8 before Medici.
Yeah. I've got an idea, since we don't have town meetings anymore at the town hall, things like that, why don't we just grab that system and bring it down here and call it quits? Save ourselves some money.
Steve now?
So for public hearing, we're making progress progress. I think a month ago, I recommended having Patrick come down to a meeting in person, so we're starting a cycle. The funny thing is, like I said, tomorrow they're meeting, I think the selectmen have got a mandate that if conductivity comes, then these guys should be here. We gotta start doing things. I mean, we're the only town that's just totally messed up. And I'm at the mic a lot, and people can't understand what I'm saying. So, we're explaining my point. The other thing is, Gabe was saying that some of the stuff is 20 years old. Well, we just talked about the fire department and our SCBA tanks, all right? 10 years, they're gone. Well, some of this stuff, Patrick, you can tell me is, in 10 years, some of these mics, it's time to replace them, for pennies on the dollar. So I think we have to have a plan to replace some of this stuff as it goes 5, 10 years or whatever. Because here we are 20 playing catch up, and we've just had major failures of all this stuff, frustrating more people, and then you guys get accused of, hiding money, burying money, or whatever it is. So I mean, I think it starts. Selectboard's going to mandate anything to do with this public TV stuff that all the entities should be involved. And Dee Dee's our representative. I mean, she kind of hit it on the nail a little bit. It seems like we're going out to left field, we're going out to right field with a couple of foul balls, and who cares about the taxpayers? Well, I think you've come to know the taxpayers are concerned because they did the articles, I believe, got voted down at the last vote. Because people were trying to pay attention to what's going on, and making it hard for them. So, I think we're making some progress on this, but I think you guys got to get a little more involved, making sure that all the entities, when one company's here, they're all here, so we don't go another week and somebody say, oh, we unplugged that one, or that's a female plug, and we got a male plug. All right, you're talking to the taxpayers. And this is all coming out of the franchise fee, so nobody can scream saying it's taxpayer money. I mean, there's no reason for us to be that bad.
Now I just got a curiosity question. Gil opened up my brain. We're all in trouble. But we just got brand new equipment up at the Brooktown Hall. We can't use the Brooktown Hall. Can we use any of that equipment down here?
You just said.
Oh, I was talking. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Worth looking into, but I don't think we have an answer of whether it can be done or not at this
Okay.
point.
All right.
Consider it.
Howard, good thinking.
Okay, anything else on Article 5 before we move on?
6, not 5.
You're right, sorry.
I don't want to do it again.
Now I gotta clean my glasses. Okay, moving on from Article 6 to Article 7. Shall the town enter into a multi-year contract with Stonehill Landscaping starting January 1, 2025 and ending May 15th, 2026 for the salting, sanding, and snow removal of the sidewalks on Main Street and Washington Street? Any discussion? Howard?
How do you get a multi-year contract when you start January 25 and May 26? Is that 1 year? We got a typo? What's going on? I don't care who the contractor is at this point, it's just the article itself.
No, it takes us through, as the snow season ends, so it's gonna take us through all of 2025.
Why don't you just say the contract starting such and such time, that multi-year? Is there something going on that we don't know about that there's, that we got, they're gonna continue going with that original contract to get canceled or whatever?
So they're finishing off 2024. This is to allow them to start 2025 also and get through all of the season 2025, 2026. So it says multi-year, but it's a year and a half.
I think you ought to take out the multi-year in the future, but just stick with starting date and ending date. And why isn't this going out to contract? Because the original contractor failed, I understand. So why is it going out to contract? To a bid rather.
Because Stonehill Landscaping now, for 2 years in a row, has come in when contractors have failed and bailed us out. And he bid on the contract for the 3-year period and didn't get it because he wasn't the cheapest price. And this is to allow us to guarantee that we now have, at least for that 3-year period through 2026, the Main Street salting, sanding, and stone will be done in a manner which everybody seems to be acceptable with.
Well, that's all well and good, Jeff, but all these contracts are supposed to put them out for bid. If the guy bails, that voids his contract.
Correct.
Now we're just saying, oh, you take it, we'll pay you what you need, and we'll just keep on going. Would somebody do it cheaper? I got nothing against Stonehill, don't get me wrong. It's the process that I'm having a problem with. This town has got to start bidding stuff a little bit better. Because right now, we're spending more money than we should. And I know because I dealt with it years ago, and today I can't believe what we're spending.
Any more discussion?
I'll say what I've said all along. I mean, the current contract goes through for another year. So it would be up in May of 2025.
What current contract? We don't have any contract.
For the sidewalks?
Why not?
Well, I thought when somebody took over, they took over for the contract.
But they don't take their contract.
Well,
You can't expect them to take their contract, somebody else's contract.
well, they're taking the contract for the work to be done. It should be the dates at their price.
And what price?
The price that Stonehill has given us to come in and do the job.
Yeah, and
Right.
he agreed to get us through the end of this winter that we just finished out
Right.
at a fixed price.
Yeah.
And he kept that price
Yeah.
through 2026.
Okay. My point is the contract would be over next May, okay? And then it would be put out to bid for another, because it's always 2 years, okay? That's what the sidewalk contract's always been. This way here, we're doing it, and ends up being a 3-year.
Well, this is 2 years. He's getting 25 and 26.
He's got 24, he's gonna start.
He got
this
24, but that wasn't under a contract. That was a emergency agreement. So
Well,
we
he'll
had it
finish
done
out half this year.
to finish out the year.
I just, it just, the way it's written, we've talked about it before, you know, I mean, I think the contract should go until it was supposed to end, and then it would get rebid for another 2 years. And it just seems plainer, you know, easier to do. I mean, he took over a contract for the agreed price that you guys settled on, there's no problem with that. But he should finish out next year, and then it would go out to bid, just like it would have been for another 2 years.
Okay, anything else? And then let's move on to Article 8. Shall an ordinance entitled 2024 Amendments to the Town of Limerick Zoning Ordinance, Article 6G3 to revise buffer standards for automobile graveyards and junkyards be enacted. A copy of the amendments will be available at the town hall and will be available at the town vote. So, discussion. Merrill, please.
You folks knew I'd be up here anyways. My concerns, and I think it's awesome that we're trying to improve the quality of the ordinance to reduce misunderstanding about what the terms are for a person who, this example of automobile graveyard junkyard, gives Stan the ability to enforce more easily. It gives the public expectations, but it feels a little bit, and I wasn't here, so whenever this was brought forward, I know it was decided in one time here because I heard afterwards. It just seems like on this item, they've been missing some of the important issues regarding why it exists and the wording. And so you've replaced, or it is suggested that vegetative screen be replaced by natural buffers or trees. What you're really looking for is concealment of the operations. If you look at state statute, that's what they talk about extensively, and that's what you modeled your ordinance after, and there were imperfections in the original one. I'm not trying to argue that, and this might improve it some, but why not improve it all the way, or try to figure out what the best would be. Trees have leaves. If you don't specify, they're always evergreens. 7 months of the year, there are no leaves on a tree, so therefore there's no concealing function. Also, no one's talked about maintenance, and I think the word maintenance or maintained concealing properties of either trees or fences or whatever, that word should be in there, because you put it in one year and half the trees die, and no one's going to talk about it. Well, if you had the way it would have been a few months ago, if there wasn't an every 2-year renewal done by the planning board on a review, no one would be looking at it except the select board, and I'm not sure what you would have done about that particular item, but if half the trees were dead and half the concealment was never going to function, I'm just not sure who was going to be watching it. But again, state statute says junkyards, first, they're not supposed to be within 500 feet. If they are closer than that, they have all these extra rules, and this concealment's one of them. And it's pretty black and white, and I think Stan can back that up, and if not, I'll bring it to you next time. Also, the word wooden is being stricken from fence. I know Stan and I have a disagreement about this particular item. I want to remind you of what an individual has said who ran to get this junkyard at 41 Rangeley Road, and said he wanted to put car hoods up there as a fence. Nothing in the way this is worded prevents it, except that the planning board might say, well, we don't like this idea. The question is in court, who's going to win? If your ordinance is even weaker than it is now. Wooden, especially if you say unpainted, at least it's going to turn what all of us know as weathered wood would look. If it's maintained, then there's not going to be big gaps, which is one of Stan's fears that it would happen with a wooden fence. It's supposed to blend harmoniously with the environs. Well, as we learned with other words in our ordinance, like scenic vistas, no one really has a good definition of what that is. So if you don't know what that is, then you're going to be sitting here going, well, 3 different interpretations exist for the 3 different individuals now looking at it, and we're not going to come to a good agreement, and it's going to be another court issue. I disagree with the way it's worded now, and not that I don't think it needs to be improved, it does. I don't think this is an improvement. I think it's a lateral move. Maybe it's not even a good lateral move. I assume because it's not listed on the page that was out front that number 4 remains, and that's the 2-year renewal. It just, because it was on a separate page, I assume that the 2-year renewal of a conditional use permit remains in force. Is that true, or am I incorrect? Because there would be item G4, and again, this piece of paper is only printed to G3 because the paper ends. So do you folks know if number 4 is in there still? It's not being altered?
Let's stay on this.
So if you read the article, it says, Article 6, G3. It doesn't say 4, doesn't say 5, it says G3. And that's why some of us spend 20 years in training to get the interpretations and the intent of the law appropriately. And you can define anything strictly, but that's why you have a review board, and the review board adds conditions to fit the situation. Otherwise, you got to treat every conditional use the same, and not every conditional use is the same. That has been repeated over and over for the last 2.5 years that I've been here with that one individual. You cannot treat this one the same as that one. So that is why we're tweaking the vegetation to include trees. It is up to the review board to determine if a red maple tree is more appropriate in the area that it's required, or if, in the case with Rangy Road, we went with the evergreen trees, which are blue spruce. So then the other part of that, and Merrill is very correct, but the other part is you've got to have a code enforcement that enforces, and you've got to have a review board or planning board that is very particular and straightforward with its conclusion, which is a notice of decision, or the conclusion of law. So those two things we've improved in the last 2.5 years. And if we continue to do that, then when there's a violation, there are two boards that have to be notified. One is the Selectboard and the other is the Planning Board. Those violations give both boards an opportunity to hold a public hearing and hold the individuals accountable, up to suspending their license with the town or revoking their conditional use. So those are the things we really have for legal tools. And yes, there are other things in the verbiage that needs to be tweaked as we go, but if we did everything all at once, I can tell you that people would turn it down because the whole thing would probably be read. So let's tackle the most important things first and move forward. We do have people that have not been in compliance that are now starting to get in compliance. We also have people, for example, they don't read signs. Once they got the ticket, they got the message. So people have to realize that we have an ordinance and we have policies, and if we enforce them, there's going to be a repercussion. So that's the purpose of this. But it's strictly to change the verbiage in 3 and not 4. The wooden fence is problematic. Wooden fences deteriorate over the years, so that becomes another enforcement issue. The trees, those in the conditional use in this particular case, it is in the verbiage that if any one of them dies within a 5-year period, they have to be replaced. Anything else with the questions on that?
Does he have to have fence and trees?
No, not necessarily. In this case, the fence wasn't required. The state statute prefers a minimum of 6-foot high fence. In the original conditional use, he did not have that, but he wanted to put a fence up.
What about his other place? Doesn't that have to have both?
It does, and that was part of the agreement that he did with the Select Board's renewal license. So he had 2 years to put a fence up and replace trees. They have purchased the fence, they are going to be putting it up, and they are replacing the trees as soon as they come in, which I think he said in the next 2 weeks. So he is. So, I mean, he's moving forward. It may not be at the pace that everybody wanted, but for 20 years, you didn't have the communications that you have now and the teamwork that you have now. And that comes from the Select Board down. And I think we do have it. And I have a big mouth, so. Anything else on this one subject?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Steve Blank. Stan, a couple of questions from the appeals board. Just looking, in case something comes down the road. Planting of the trees, have we set a minimum size for the trees to be planted? Is that something else besides this?
It's in the definition of trees.
Okay, all right, so that checks that off. The other thing is, I mean, there's no longer allowed any junkyards and salvage yards in your town. That was passed a few years ago. So this Article 8 is the existing one grandfathered to the old terms? Should there be something in here?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
Is the old permit grandfathered under the article as it was written? You're changing part of the article. All right, would that company be grandfathered under the original one?
Yeah, it is, it has to be notated in the ordinance when it's changed, if it passes.
Right,
And
okay.
it will be, which Judy's been doing a very good job at.
Okay, all right, no, just a couple of yeah.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, yes.
Just a quick comment. First of all, I think Mr. Gerard gets picked on considerably. I mean, I know he's done a few things that, a little iffy, but I think too much attention is being paid to him. If you're driving at 50 miles an hour past his place on Route 5, which is the speed limit, if you're looking in there and seeing things, you're driving dangerously. And if you slow down to 20 miles an hour so you can really see, then you're just being nosy. And if you drive down Route 5 right now, you will find a very nice old house before you get there that has a worse looking yard than Sean's ever had. And it's too bad because somebody put a lot of money into that house and fixed it up really nice. And right now it looks like the whole winter's worth of garbage is in that yard. So before you complain too much about Sean, you might want to look around at some other places.
Okay, anything else? We'll move on to Article 9. Shall an ordinance entitled 2024 Amendment to the Town of Limerick Floodplain Management Ordinance be enacted? A copy of the amendments will be available at the town office and will be available at the town vote. Any discussion on Article 9? Okay, seeing none, Article 10. Shall the town of Limerick enter into a purchase and sales agreement and complete the sale of 3 lots on Dora Lane to Southern Maine Module, being lot 2348B 02002, 2348B 004, and 2248B 006, with terms to be in the best interest of the town as approved by the Board of Select Persons. So discussion on Article 10. You're gonna get your steps in tonight.
Yeah. So what are the terms? What?
That will be drawn up with the attorney, is my understanding of it, but we haven't gotten to the terms yet.
Well, you talk to this builder,
I'm sorry?
you talk to this builder, what's gonna happen, what's the dollar figures?
I don't have that.
Current offer on the table is $100 per lot.
With the requirement to bring the road up to town standards. And which will also bring three lots into, our tax base going forward, which we've had nothing, for years with that.
So they're gonna work, get the road up to total spec.
Correct.
Including water and sewer, if I remember correctly. Yep.
Yes.
Everything.
And paved, yep.
Okay. discussion on Article 10? Hearing none, that concludes. Oh,
Just a recap of everything, instead of every month individually.
Just because the budget committee said no, the selectmen said yes, personally, I don't pay attention to either one of them. I read the article and take my own opinion. But how many times does an article or something come up? Voting each time. We did it in March, we're gonna do it in June. If some of these don't pass, are they going back on the November ballot? Just because they didn't pass, because you want them to pass, but the people did not want them to pass?
The reason these went back on was because and Stephanie talked about it at length at some of the meetings, there was not complete information from the unassigned account and the undesignated account for them to be able to give a yes recommendation with confidence. And that was why they gave the no recommendation. Our hope in putting it on this June ballot was that we would have those numbers and that they would reflect the opportunity to be able to transfer these funds. These accounts are created, if I'm not mistaken, all of them. We have money in these accounts for these capital projects. If we don't fund it this year, I think we should continue to consider funding it because it is for projects that need to be completed. Specifically the SCBA, not a project, but required. I understand.
What if there's a lot of people like me that I don't look at select board recommendation or budget committee. I take it for the article and make up my own mind. So if there's a lot of people out there that really don't care whether they did or did not agree with it, then we gotta go through this vote again. So I repeat, if these are all voted down, because the budget committee did vote no on some, do we have to do it again in November until it passes? Because I mean, that's like saying an article's gonna pass and, oh, well, gee, 10 people over here didn't want it to pass, so let's put it back on the ballot again and see if we can get it not to pass. It's just, it's a screwed up system.
is that your handy?
So we did have concerns over this. A few people had asked. I did look into MMA and ask them that question because some people thought, well, they just gotta change the wording a little bit or something, but no, they can put it on a ballot as many times as they'd like.
Just like the school.
So even if we keep saying no, 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 they can keep putting it on. Either that or hold a public meeting when we're not able to show up.
Well, that or put the entire thing, when we have the entire paving and such ready, then we can ask the town to.
Well, I have to say, just like Sherry, I don't go by what you guys or the budget committee say. I go by what I want to say. And I think a lot of the people that voted no did that.
Well, if you look at the articles, I would disagree, because the ones that the budget committee voted no on were the ones that failed.
Does that tell you who they trust more?
Who they trust more?
Yes.
Oh, sure, that's fine. I guess, you look at it like somebody just mentioned the school budget. The school budget happens all the time. You get stuff that gets voted down, and they go back and back and back until they get it yes. Well, because, you know what, our firemen have to be able to breathe when they go into a fire.
I know they do.
They have to have tanks that aren't gonna break.
I know they do. But
So
you know
if this
what?
gets voted down again.
We've just
if
bought
this
them
gets
a
voted-
very large fire department,
Yeah.
and now they can take money from somewhere else in their budget.
If this gets voted down again, it's our responsibility to put it back out there again, because unfortunately, come up with a better solution. Okay, find a way.
I just
instead
told you a
of-
better solution.
What is it?
Take money from somewhere else in their budget. There's money spent foolishly
Where?
at the fire department.
In
How
the-
many
in the-
times does the same repair need to be done on the same truck? That wouldn't need to be done if people drove it like they should.
I don't answer that, because I don't know that to be the case.
Well, I do.
At the answer the Cascade system they've got up there now, we wrote a grant to get.
And there's lots of places to get grants. Even Firehouse Sub gives out grants.
Yeah, I recommend that anybody that's interested, get together with the fire chief, okay? He's working full-time, trying to get the building built and do the federal grant program, you get money in. So anybody that's got the time in their hands to go down to Firehouse Subs, have a good sandwich, find the application, and bring it back and help the guy out. It's easy to sit here and say, we're gonna vote no, we're gonna vote no, because we're spending too much money, okay?
And we
But
have-
come up with a solution.
They
Come up with a solution.
don't spend so much foolishly.
That's not a solution.
Yes, it is.
John, does the board know just how many active firefighters there are?
Not on the roster, but actually active. It's a
Right,
difference.
we have a fire right now, how many are gonna show up? That have got all their training and everything else?
I don't know, I guess I could say, I mean, when I look at the payroll every week,
Yeah, but that's EMTs.
well, they're required, I mean, they're up there on call. Those are the people that are on call. I mean, I see, I don't wanna say dozens, but over a dozen, I think that we're certainly paying every week, closer to 20 maybe. So, assuming those are the ones that are per diems that are up there, I don't know, you, help me out, you're in the fire department, I mean, do you have any idea?
I mean, it's different for each call. We had a call last night, I saw some people there that I haven't seen in 4 months. We had a call this morning, there was just the two of us there, so it's different for each type of call. And even if you're not a firefighter, if you're downwind at the pump panel, technically you should have an air pack on. So it's not just the interior firefighters that need an air pack, it's anyone that shows up to a scene.
If they're not a firefighter, they should not be on the scene in the first place.
So an EMT shouldn't be on the scene?
If not close enough that they ever get smoke or whatever is bothering them.
So, hold on,
Are they all the
can you
seniors?
repeat the statement you just made?
I don't think so.
The first statement you just made? If, you said if they're not a firefighter,
They shouldn't be on the
they
scene.
shouldn't be on the scene. What type of firefighter?
I don't know, whatever a firefighter does, a lot
So
of them
you're
have
a
to be
firefighter
allowed
one,
to
firefighter
go into
two?
the building.
Steve, what firefighter level are you?
Nothing.
How many calls do you go on? She says you can't go.
Yeah, well,
Well, I
She
agree,
just-
I
So
shouldn't.
he shouldn't be there.
No, he shouldn't.
Okay. He goes on more calls
And I
than
do
anybody.
know that
He
there's a
goes,
lot
he
of,
goes on more calls than anybody, because he has the time.
I know
Now,
that there's
he's
a
not,
lot of EMTs
he's not
that got
kicking
their
doors in and putting
firefighter
out
one.
fires.
Are you
but-
listening? You interrupt all the time. There are a lot of EMTs that got their firefighter one, and they can't fight a fire. They shouldn't even be on there.
Because they're not capable,
Exactly.
but yet somebody gave them a firefighter one.
Because you can pass the class. Doesn't mean when the actual fire is happening that you can do anything.
I guess that's a problem with the system. I don't know enough about it. But I do know the statement made that if you're not a firefighter, you shouldn't be on the scene. Takes out the guy that goes on more calls than anybody in the town.
But he's not a firefighter, so he shouldn't be there either.
So he shouldn't be there. So, pack your car up, take his beeper away, you're not able to go.
yeah, no, that's not how it goes.
Okay.
John, the reason why I asked that question, we're talking about buying these SCBA's, I understand they've got to have them. But if we've only got, say, for the sake of talking, 5 people showing up to these fires, why would somebody want to buy 15 of them?
All I can say is my experience with the current fire chief is, he likes to stay up to date. He wants all the rules and regulations followed, and I haven't experienced him over-purchasing anything. If he needs 12, maybe he's getting 13, but he's not buying 15. I think he's doing a great job managing the department, and if we're gonna hire people to manage departments, we have to put some faith in them and not question if, try to micromanage every move they're making. Okay? If he's not capable of coming up with a proper number of what we need, then we shouldn't have him.
To answer you, you have interior certified, exterior firefighters.
Yes, I can do that.
Classification, okay? So, when we get old, they tell you you can't go in a building anymore and everything else. But as it's known, if I pull up to a fire and there's somebody in the building, I'm gonna pack up, right? I'm still certified to have a pack. Everybody that is on a fire scene is supposed to be fit tested, right? In case the wind blows, whether it's the guy on the pump or the EMT lady sitting there, right? We're all supposed to be capable of doing that, okay?
Supposed to be.
That's right, okay? That's a physical fitness part's another thing. We don't even divulge into that. Howard, on your subject, if there was a structure fire tonight, we would have a minimum of 12 people show up, right? During the day, it's something different, we understand it. But 12 people, that's really 24 bottles that we would need, all right? And in today's world, if a structure fire comes in right now, the way they got it classified, it brings in all the other towns automatically. All right, so even if we had 6 people in the initial part of it, there's more and more coming as you filter in. Right now, there's 2 people at the station. If we get a call, those 2 people are going, and then everyone else kind of filters in. But, you know, minimum at a structure fire in town, and we got the documentation to it, okay? You're gonna end up with 12 guys. Maybe in the middle of the day, we're down to 6 or 7. But that's a factor of the middle of the day, you know? So, I mean, everybody, the bottle thing, I think it just got too exaggerated. That's something that can't be cut. That's something we need, you know, every so many years, you gotta replace our gear, all right? And it's dumb, because like my gear, if it's 10 years old, it's no good. Well, technically, I'm not going in the building, so who cares, right? The people going in the building, that's 10 years, and that's what NFPA says, all right? But we got some of our EMTs up there that are firefighters. You won't see them in the building unless there's nobody else available to go in. They're doing their medical stuff, but their gear in 10 years, even if they've never used it, is considered no good. It's ridiculous, but those are the rules that we're playing with.
Good, thank you. That being said, we'll call into the notice of public hearing. And thank you all for attending and commenting. And I think for our select board meeting, we'll take about a 10-minute break to stretch our legs and then come back and go into our regular meetings.
Wait.
Good evening and welcome to the May 6, 2024 Board of Select Persons meeting. It's starting a little late because we have a public hearing to go over some of the articles that will be on the June ballot. So I will make one announcement that this meeting is a live stream, but there is no cable for the meeting tonight, so it can be accessed after the fact on SCTV. So let's start this meeting with a flag salute.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I would look for a motion to approve the April 22nd minutes.
So,
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor? Next, I'll look for a motion to approve the minutes from April 29th.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? I'll look for a motion to accept the warrants.
So moved.
Okay, discussion on the warrants.
I was just looking through the different warrants previously to be paid, Mr. Maintenance and submitted their first invoice. I just had a question on the account it came, it doesn't matter of the lot, I'll just touch base with Julie on it. It said Island Cemetery, so I just think we need to change that.
Okay, well then, all in favor? Would someone read the announcements, please?
Yes. The cemetery committee will meet on Thursday, May 9th at 7 p.m. in the community room in the basement at the municipal building. Anyone willing to help with veteran graves are encouraged to attend. The Charter Commission will meet on Thursday, May 9th at 7 p.m. The Select Board will meet on Monday, May 13th at 7 p.m. The Planning Board will meet on Wednesday, May 15th at 7 p.m. The Transfer Station will take in brush for Limerick residents until the end of June. The Appeals Board has 2 vacant seats to fill. Please reach out to the Select Board admin if interested at 793-4475. As a reminder, if you're speaking at any meeting, please go to the microphone, which is located at the podium, so everyone will be able to hear. As part of the hearing and citizen policy, no personal attacks on any individual or firm, including town employees, town officials, or members of the public will be tolerated during any meetings. Please direct concerns about individual employees or town officials to the chairman of the Board of Select Persons outside the public meeting. And please stay current with town information by visiting www.limerickme.org.
Okay, thank you. For the department reports, we have Stan Hackett.
Thank you, Gil. Stan Hackett, Code Enforcement. As of the end of April, year to date, in 2024, we've issued 46 permits. 16 of them are for single-family homes, with a total revenues or permit revenues of $38,733.26 versus 2023. This time last year we did 38 permits. We did 11 single-family homes, and the permit revenues was $19,438.32, which is an increase of $19,294.94. We're well on the way, and that is not including, we do have the Proctor subdivision that will be coming before the planning board again for a revised subdivision. That's anywhere from 5 to 10 new lots there. And we do have the New Dam Road. They're going to be moving forward as soon as they get us a new performance bond, which is an irrevocable letter of credit. And then The one on Burn Road has also stepped up and communicated that they will be moving forward hopefully in the fall. And then, nothing else? Is there anything the board has for me?
The fees have doubled, but the permits haven't, is that because the fee structure was raised? Compared to last year, you've got double the amount of fees, but nowhere near double the amount of permits.
A lot of the structures are a little bigger, but the fees did not change, they did not pass, along with the gross permit of $150 per new dwelling, which helps offset your emergency services fund. So we did not increase any fees.
Okay.
And that doesn't include any parking violations either.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Okay, moving on to old business, the cemetery mowing committee will be meeting on May 9th, as it was announced. So that'll be in the community room, 1 floor down from here.
Is any board members planning to attend that? Maybe. Oh, wow, I had it on my reminder, sorry. I just think that would be helpful like, for the first one with Joe.
Okay, fire building update. Do you have anything on that?
Oh, sorry, Vinny just said there wasn't really anything new, it was still all those last minute things that we mentioned last week, like flooring, diesel exhaust, like we're still all coming together, but everything was moving as it should be.
Okay, could we turn the mic around so that we're a little bit better?
It doesn't work.
Oh, those are, okay, never mind. Reviewing legal accounts, I didn't notice any in the warrants tonight, so. And FOAA requests, those are posted on the town website as usual. Deed work for Tibbetts Park, any update, Wade? No update. The town charter update, I believe we had an announcement that there will be a meeting.
There's gonna actually be a meeting this Thursday at 7. We were just waiting to see if we're gonna be able to record. Gail can make it, so I just talked to Dave earlier, or got an email from Dave today. So 7 p.m. in here.
Okay. Bricktown Hall report, repairs, the report from the engineer.
You have a new report. I printed off the report that we got from the engineer, which basically is, and I did talk to Stan, we need to be accessible, not compliant, so it does change several of the requirements.
Vice versa.
The what?
Vice versa.
Okay, sorry. Vice versa. So the things that they've written there will change the amount substantially from the first quote that we did get. So I'll need to reach back out and have that adjusted now that we know that.
Okay.
That's a little different from what we originally thought.
Question on this report. When it mentions the bathroom on the second floor, is that the bathroom next to the media cabinet? Or is that the bathroom above the media cabinet?
It's the bathroom to the left of the media cabinet.
Okay.
So it's the one that had the leak, that had the issue.
Okay.
So we will no longer need, now we don't need to, we're not gonna be making one, that's the route that we take. We'd be able to fix the one we have.
No, but they don't go on the second floor.
The one above
the
the
media cabinet. It's above the
Oh,
media
yeah,
cabinet.
sorry, well, there's two
It is
bathrooms
on-
up there.
So the
That's why I
one,
thought we originally quoted to make one,
okay,
and take the one out completely over the media cabinet. The one that actually flooded sits a little bit to the left.
it just says the bathroom on the second floor of the Bricktown Hall needs to be ADA compliant, ADA accessible. This was a letter that was sent to us.
Yeah.
On the second floor, I didn't know if the basement is counted as first, or if the
sorry.
second floor is up the
No,
stairs.
this report is on the second floor, that's what we've been waiting for.
Okay.
This is from their engineer that the adjuster hired. It's just a little different than what we thought. We thought when we first chatted with Stan, we were going to have to go the route of making it completely accessible, which would change the whole dynamics of it, which wasn't big enough, which made us having to quote out to make 2 bathrooms into 1.
Okay.
That we no longer have to do. Basically a grab bar, oblong toilet, lever handle, and then the sink, like a flapper handle or 1 push pull.
Okay.
Just because they were, you would go here?
Yeah, because we can go over, okay, we can go over that, if that's in there, we can go over that later.
Okay.
So he included all that stuff, the adjuster,
That's why.
included all that stuff in his estimate.
Yes, so last week when I reached out to the adjuster, after we met last week, we had this proposal, and I reached out and was like, where did we go wrong? Why are we so much lower than we expected? He said I had forgotten to email us the engineering report. And he said it would make much more sense once we got that, and it does, so then when I tried to stamp, that's why the number was where it was.
Well, I guess the question is, I mean, this is the engineer hired by the insurance company. They're certainly gonna go to,
But I think Danny is correct, right? We don't have, those are the only requirements we do have to make.
That is correct.
okay?
So that is different than what we originally had thought.
So those numbers from last week are,
I think that they're probably going to be pretty accurate once, but we need a new quote. Like our first quote was asking for many different features that was gonna need. Like the door wouldn't have housed a wheelchair, so I don't know. I mean, we need a new quote now for only these things.
okay. And the town-owned property letters, that's something Stan is currently working on, and we've been in some communication about that, so keep going on those.
If I can, I want to thank Stan for his efforts there, because we have had some people come in and make some fairly substantial payments towards the back taxes because of your efforts, so thank you.
All right, vault update, anything on that, John?
Nothing new.
Nothing new. New business park sign.
Same as last week, the frame is all up and in, we're just now waiting for RSD. For RSD graphics.
Okay, shelter survey, anything on that, Katie?
Yep, so I've got it, we're just updating, just to verify a few things within the facility here, which would be not technically our shelter, but our warming station. I don't think we're set up for a shelter at this time. But then we also have some measurements that need to be taken, and I will be, touching base with Ray on some of, the rest of this information and see if we can get that completed.
All right. Repurposing of the boat launch in Lake Arrowhead for public access. I guess there's been an area made for lake access, and I believe we wanted to make sure that there's no ability for people to bring a boat in. So I believe that's been taken care of. MMA inspection report follow-up, the emergency action plan, finishing that up at this present time. The overlook and municipal office cameras and the heat detectors.
We should have a second quote on that next week.
Okay, good. Addition to personnel policy for EPL time and to decide on changes.
I'm just waiting for Julie. Like I had given it to her, and I think she's gonna look at a couple other towns, so.
Okay. And the squad truck bid review update, that is still on hold. The building advisor. Oh, okay.
Regarding the squad truck.
The new truck isn't on here, so I'll do it in this. What is SRI or SR1 companies? It pertains to the brush truck, it was in the warrants. What is it? It was for $7,299.
I believe that's the stainless steel bed that's going on the back of the truck.
what's the status on the operational of that truck? Is it gonna be soon?
The last I knew when that, about a week ago, I knew that bed came in, they were gonna go out and pick it up and get it here to start putting the truck back together.
So the body work and everything hasn't been done on it yet?
I don't believe it's been completed,
Okay.
but I don't know for sure.
So
We can find out.
what's the time we've been doing this now, since they got the truck? It had to be done immediately. What's been the body shop, what, 2 months, 3 months?
I don't know, I mean, it was there and it left and then it's gone back as far as I know, so. I don't think the body shop's had it for 3 months.
So it left because it wasn't done, or it required more work?
I have an update that, I apologize because I was looking for this. So, it was April 22nd, he said that the skid pump and the tank are being built and it is 4 to 6 weeks out. The body work for the paint is in the process. So that's where, I think we're still within that window there.
Yeah, with the time period and stuff, I was just under the impression when we voted on buying a new one, that it was going to be service ready. You know, come from the dealer or wherever it was and just jump in and use it. And here it has been since, well, before April that it was brought to town. So, just a point.
Okay, Building Advisory Committee, Poison Ivy Control, and we've passed that information on to Dean, but we haven't got a response yet. Bricktown Hall, third floor water, there's been some messages sent to some plumbers, but apparently no response yet.
While we're on the subject of water, Building Advisory Committee and liaison with them, we have suggested that there not be a bathroom or a water source placed above the media cabinet, so the same thing doesn't happen again. Has there been any decisions made on that, just while we're in the process of getting quotes? Any sort of good water protection? Do we need to have a bathroom up there? I don't know if Stan cares about a bathroom up there, but we've requested that there not be a bathroom. We've recommended that the bathroom not be placed up there, so the same issue doesn't happen again. I don't know if there was any discussion on that while I was away. I've been away for a couple meetings, so I just wanted to bring that up.
I think we gotta wait till we see what we get from the insurance company for money. And before we put anything up there, we should take a look at all the options, and see if now is the best time to do anything at all on that second floor. If not, perhaps we discontinue the water that bathroom and put the money aside for such time as we know that floor can be used on a more regular basis. Or, we've got a building sitting up there that we don't do anything with to speak of, and let the townspeople use it, which is fine on the first floor. But I wouldn't do anything. I wouldn't want to see us do anything until we go up there and take a look and have a better plan in place, other than just putting back the same bathroom in the same bad spot that isn't really handicap accessible, but just accommodating. There's 2 bathrooms on the first floor. If somebody can get to the second floor, they can go downstairs to use one of the 2 on the first floor.
This quote, Brady, was for, see if they shut the water off on the second floor, it shut off on the third floor.
Okay.
We were seeing if we could bypass second floor so the
Okay.
masons could have water on the third floor. Their little kitchen area where they wash dishes, I guess, when they eat before meetings, so that's what that is.
Thank you.
Just kidding, walk to the
Okay, then, moving on to new business. The Tibbetts Park Committee, do they need to be reappointed? Is anyone, do you know?
Not sure.
They weren't sure either. So you have to reappoint them every year, or?
They were a committee and we're not appointing committees.
Okay, so they can just be part of, okay.
That's what you guys want to change it.
That's what we thought, but I was like,
Thank you.
I don't want to make any decisions.
Okay, and the next item is to set up a meeting for all employees and board members affected by TRIO. The office has reached out to TRIO to set up a meeting, and everyone will be updated when that is in place.
so I sent a couple emails this afternoon, but I'm glad Julie's here because I was actually gonna ask who her email was from. So we were kind of talking to the same person. If you knew.
Mine wasn't an email, mine was on the phone,
Okay,
talked, I think with Allison.
perfect.
Because what it was, I tried calling the regular TRIO number.
Yep.
And I ended up, they wanted to leave a message to get back to me, so I thought, well, I'll try this other number, the one that was supposedly gonna, we're supposed to contact her.
Yep.
If we were gonna go forward with it.
Yeah, she's the one I emailed. She's out, her email popped back, she's out until May 13th. So the other one that's always been included is Will. So I forwarded the email to him. He's happy to kind of take the reign on it. So I got it right before the meeting.
So what she suggested, because I told her, they wanted us to all set up a meeting, that's what the board wanted, with them, with our, tech,
Yep,
Chris, and the employees that use the TRIO.
yep, perfect.
And
So
she
what
said, and I asked her also, well, as soon as we got this done, set up a time, then we could look over the contract. I said, supposedly they signed this contract, it was supposedly a go, they said they had the money. And but I told her, I said, what some of the concerns were, again, was the cloud versus the web.
Yeah.
She said, this contract that the board has is for internal, which is just the web, it's not the cloud. So she also said, I told her, I said, but some of the issues were, one of mine and a couple other employees, is it is governmental, like Chris Sanborn said. We're not an incorporated, we're not a corporation or anything like that. So she also agreed that that's where you guys have always done it, since we've had TRIO, it's internal only. The cloud, again, she said, if they want to work outside or whatever. So she, like I said, I'm gonna stand for, I still think you're using TRIO to conduct business for this town, then that should be in the town office.
So is that our server doesn't support the cloud?
The cloud.
Yeah, okay.
And if you wanna go with the cloud, then she said, yes,
We
you would
need
have.
to, okay.
Correct.
So I asked Will, basically this, and I asked him to send back like times and dates. I'm assuming they'll do a call, like a Zoom call, but just to at least get it started, like what would work for them, and then we've got to coordinate for everybody else.
I just think it's crazy dragging this on, like I said. I talked to Julie, and she said that supposedly she talked to the board of selectmen and felt that the employees should all sit down with the board of selectmen, hatch it out what they want. And this is what Alice said. She said, we're not getting in the middle,
Yeah,
just
I know.
follows. You decide what you want. You want the web or do you want the cloud? And whatever you decide, we'll let them know. And they will go on from there with us to get us the training.
Well, I was thinking if it was all going, if we could coordinate one time to meet with them about everybody's concerns and expectations with the whole changeover with TRIO. That's what I thought we had talked about last week too.
Well, she said it's up to us to decide what we want. Do we want to use it on the cloud or do we want to just use it in the
Yeah, but the upgrade itself, like the upgrade that you didn't want last year, but now we,
That was the web, to go from SQL to the web.
okay,
That was the change. I was all for that. I'm not for the cloud, because again,
okay.
the
So
town
I-
voted in '89 to put the municipal offices in this building. No more working from home. That's why the tax everybody ended up here. I just think you're going backwards and again, you're doing government work on it. We're doing motor vehicles, vital statistics, election, all that stuff is here.
Okay, no,
The
that's
treasurer
fine. I
again, it's
misunderstood.
checking account, your money in and out, to make a deposit and give her the money, whatever. It should stay inside.
I just thought there was going to be one meeting, so everything, to be able to understand fully. Yeah, exactly, what the upgrade was going to include, how it was gonna affect each department, so. And make sure that we'll be,
That was great. That is what she
I
said
don't know
to me.
anything about it.
Okay, well, I have one more issue. It's been recommended that we enact a social media policy. So just want to ask the board if that's something we'd be interested in pursuing.
How's that? What's a social media policy?
Just how you conduct yourself, if, you know, for elected or appointed officials, how you would conduct yourself on social media.
And what's the point of all this other policy?
It's-
Elected or appointed?
Well, it was recommended that, you know, that we look at it, so I'm just bringing it up.
I don't know, what that would entail, but I feel like personally, the code of ethics or our code of conduct kind of covers that. It outlines keeping it professional, things like not giving the impression of conflict, or I'm paraphrasing horribly, but, I don't think that speaks to just when we're here. So I think it's already covered.
Okay. In that case, is there any hearing of citizens issues? Or are there?
Just a question. Last week's meeting, if it's been published on the web, I can't find it. Has it been published yet? It was told that it was going to be put up on the web because it wasn't televised or anything, but it was just recorded. Is it up there yet?
I was on vacation last week. Gail, was it recorded? Is it strictly audio?
It's strictly audio, and the file is in Hollis.
Okay, well, I'll look at that tomorrow. Like I said, I'm just getting back.
I've been watching the web and I'm not too good at finding things, and I just thought maybe it was there and I just hadn't. Okay,
Once I get it up there, I'll send you the link.
thank you.
I tried to upload it myself, but I don't have enough speed to do that.
Can I just add the whole trio thing?
Yeah, we gotta back up to that.
We gotta handle this, like, because
We need an answer on it. So
Yeah.
last week we
I don't
discussed
want to do
it.
it.
I understand Judy has her opinion. She wants in-house or no web. Other people may have different opinions. I think the plan to sit down with somebody from Trio, so everybody, we have the positives and the negatives on going both or either way or no way, should be done with everybody in the building that is gonna work on Trio. We, you know, if we're gonna make the ultimate decision, you know, all of us or some of us should be there. And because if, you know, maybe the consensus will be that we do wanna keep everything in-house and not have to give anybody the ability to work from home or from remotely. Maybe that won't be the case. Maybe we think that working remotely might be advantageous to somebody and not others. You know, I don't expect Judy's gonna be registering cars from her house because everything's up here, but does that mean that, you know, if somebody in the assessing office or the treasurer's office needs to do something remotely that they can't, you know, is it all or nothing? I'd like to have some questions answered, and I think it's important that everybody that uses it sits down and hears from Trio what each system brings and how it will help us and how it may hurt us.
And I agree with that. I don't think that necessarily anyone using Trio should work from home, but I think that it would be valuable to know what each web or cloud offers.
Is it open to the public for their opinion on whether the business is out there? Or is it just?
Any meeting we have like that, we can open.
Yeah, especially if
we're all
more
there.
than two of us are there, it
Yeah.
has to be a public meeting.
It's all hogwash, but anyways, do whatever.
Why do you, because
I
we don't wanna
think
jump,
anybody should be working.
because we don't wanna jump on your opinion,
I agree
you
with
get all bent out of shape.
No,
Why
that's
can't,
right.
why
That's
can't
how
we-
many people.
why can't we talk about it? Why can't we talk about it at a meeting?
Every day, there's at least one person that comes to that window, or they call want code, they might want to talk to the secretary, they might want to talk assessing or whatever. We don't know what their hours are, okay? It's not, like I said, they don't work for me, so I don't care. But when I was running again and stuff, trying to get our deputy to stay 5 days a week, it was, I felt I had to promise it would be open during lunch, it won't close during lunch, might stay open a late night. That was a big deal with the budget committee. Well, like I said, I just think this is, I'm going backwards. And I'm not the only one, different people in town are upset because they can't get through to nobody. We tell them, leave a message on the answer machine. So like I said, it's not us, the town people ain't happy with it. So just keep
What
doing
does
what
that
you're
have to
doing.
do with Trio? What does that have to do with Trio?
If they're not in the office.
We're talking about why are they working home at all, period. But the trio thing, again, I don't see, again, that they have to work from home with trio.
And I don't think we should encourage, I don't think we are in, being a municipality, should encourage anybody from working from home. But that doesn't mean that we should totally throw it out and not have it as any type of option. I mean, I'm not saying we should encourage, I don't think, there have been times where people have worked from home. Either they've been
During
sick,
COVID, they did, yes.
even after COVID. Alicia's worked from home sometimes.
And then she doesn't need trio,
Well,
so.
I'm just saying, we have allowed people at certain times to work from home. It's not out of convenience, never been out of convenience, it's more been out of necessity for somebody's sick or whatever, and so I'm not saying I wanna advocate people working from home. But I'm not saying I wanna throw it out and just not have it be
I said,
any
do whatever
option.
you want, have them come in, do everything in my opinion, so do whatever. Wait some other couple more weeks, we're doing this since November. Still ain't got nothing set.
Okay, anyone else? I'll wait for a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Okay, thank you, everyone.